Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
I am
Prabhuji.
doing.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, how are you?
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Good to see you all. Madhu Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
Yeah, doing good. How are you, Prabhuji?
Good. Ramapriya Prabhu is there as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. How are you?
Nandi Mukhi, I'm good, Prabhu. Thank you. Nandi Mukhi is there. Hare Krishna. I see Darshan Prabhu. I see Krishna. I see Katwanga Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna ji, Hare Krishna to all the Vaishnavas, God, brothers and sisters. Very nice to see everybody.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you. We're all happy to see you too.
Very nice to see God, brothers and God, sisters and all the great Vaishnavas.
Yeah, they're all great Vaishnavas for sure.
This is all because of you, Prabhuji.
No, I don't know about that, but
Well, you don't know, but I know that, Prabhuji. So really thanks for that. You know.
too kind, too kind. Okay, so let's see. I was really worried that people might get confused whether there is a class tonight or not. So I'm glad everyone is here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Shalu Mataji, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Very nice, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Shama Mohini, how are you?
Hare Kripa Prabhu. How are you?
To everybody, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to all.
Hare Krishna. Sinana Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna everybody, Hare Krishna, and with pranam all glory to Krishna Prabhupada.
Yeah. And Shama is there as well. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna Radhika. I see your name there.
Hare Krishna, I'm just finishing the dishes, so I didn't turn on the video yet.
No worries, no worries. You can turn it
I
off.
just finished.
Finish it, no rush.
No, I'm done. Ready for class.
Okay. Hare Krishna Shanam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Who else do I see?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Oh, Hare Krishna Sushma Mataji, kaise ho?
Krishna Kripa Prabhuji.
Nandimukhi, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Good, Pitashri. Thanks for asking.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm just
Hare
home.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
Good Prabhu, how are you?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, kaise ho?
Good Prabhu.
That's Siri Mataji, right? I'm trying to recognize.
I am Sujata Prabhu.
Sujata Mataji, Hare Krishna, sorry. I still have to I'll take some time to recognize the faces. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen and put the pranami mantras. And then we can start. So give me 1 second. Okay, would somebody like to lead the invocation prayers?
I can do, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Are you able to hear me, no, Prabhuji?
No, we don't hear you at all.
Oh my God.
Oh, now I can hear you. So go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय
Shri Krishna
कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Yes, to devotees. Vancha kalpatarupakcha kripa sindhu bhayev cha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Just another reminder that next 2 weeks, we won't have any classes. Then we'll meet again in January. And I'll send you a note out as well. Okay, let's stop sharing. Any questions from last week? No questions? Okay. Does anybody remember what we covered?
Yeah, about Bhishma Pitama and Kunti, the feeling about Krishna. They want more and more troubles, Kunti Mata, so that they can get more closer to Krishna. And
Right.
whatever happens in our life is already planned by Krishna. So he takes care. It's nothing that we are doing. Anything is
Yes. Very good. Thank you.
said by.
Thank you. Okay. So this week, or tonight, I should say, we're going to cover chapters 10 and 11. As Mataji was saying, we finished last week. Can you hear me fine? Can you hear me
Yes,
fine?
Prabhu. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu, we can hear
Yes,
you.
Prabhu. Yes,
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Thank you. So we last week we talked about Bhishma Pitama's death and installation of Yudhishthir Maharaj on the throne. So he basically became the emperor of the world. And when it was all done, everything was said. Lord Krishna said, "Okay, my job is done. I've been away from home for quite a while." So he got ready to leave for Dwarka. And it had happened before in that he had tried many times before, but somehow or the other he got talked into staying. Anyway, so this time he was allowed. So he got up on the chariot, and as he mounted the chariot, a lot of people like Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, even Gandhari and Dhratrashtra, Jujutsu, Kripacharya, Nakul, Sahadev, Bhimsen, all the Pandavas, and their grandmother Satyavati, they all almost fainted. When it was just so difficult, so very difficult for them to bear the separation from Lord Krishna. I mean, they knew that his house is not here, his house in Dwarka, but still, he'd been there for a while, and separating from Krishna was very painful for them. So they pretty well fainted. The other ladies, royal ladies, I should say, they got up on the top of the palace and they were smiling with affection, but at the same time, they were feeling shy, and they showered flowers upon Lord Krishna. And finally, Lord Krishna left. So out of affection, the Pandavas, the five brothers, they accompanied the Lord for a considerable distance to see him off. And finally, the Lord persuaded them to return home. Those of you who are from India probably are familiar with this tradition, or at least used to be at one time. When somebody came, you actually went quite a distance to see them off, because you just wanted that many, few more minutes with them. And that was the thinking behind that. But anyway, so they came back, and Lord Krishna continued to Dwarka. When he reached the borders of Dwarka, He's
डॉक्टर ने कुछ
Hare Krishna.
गोडियां
Okay,
पीने के बारे में कुछ
yes,
किया
sir,
थी
please. Okay, hold on. Okay. If you everyone could please mute yourself, then it will be easy. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So he blew his conch shell, basically to announce his arrival, that I'm here. And citizens just literally ran to the Lord, and they were offering him different types of gifts, basically welcoming him. They had decorated their houses and...
Prabhuji, can I interrupt you for 1 minute?
Yes, of course.
Prabhuji, I am kind of confused which canto we are talking about.
We're still in Canto 1, Prabhu.
Pardon?
We're still in Canto 1, and I think this is chapter 10.
Okay, right. Thank you, Prabhuji.
It's called the Lord Returns to Dwarka.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, no worries. Any other questions or anything? Okay, all right. So Lord Krishna basically approached all the citizens and the relatives who had come to receive him, welcome him, and he offered them due honor, due respect, and all those kind of things. And then he entered the house of his father, Vasudeva. There he was embraced by his mother Devaki, and there were many other motherly ladies who also were present. So the Lord offered his obeisances by actually placing his head at their feet. Then the queens were there. They were shy, so they first embraced, what should I say? Embraced him with their vision, basically with their eyes, in their heart. And then they sent their children to embrace the Lord. And that's kind of a symbolic of personal embracing. So, too many people, I can't embrace you personally, so I'm sending my child to embrace you, but please think that I'm embracing you, that kind of feeling. And then they cried, and everybody cried. It doesn't say so, but I'm sure Lord Krishna cried as well. Anyway, so this chapter then ends by Sutta Goswami saying that the queens actually, they really thought that they had Krishna under complete control. So he says, I think the word he uses is simple women who truly thought that their beloved husband, Krishna, followed them and he was dominated by them all the time. So actually, some people say that Krishna was a henpecked husband. So much love getting from the wives that automatically he became under their control. And in that sense, the queens were totally unaware of the extent of Krishna's glories. And Sutta Goswami says, just as the atheists are unaware of Krishna as a supreme controller. Okay. I'm going to stop for a second because I'm going to move to another chapter. And I'm going to ask a simple question. So now, consider the situation. The war is over. It's been won. Yudhishthir Maharaj has now become the emperor, and all the Kauravas, except 3, one of whom is a woman, are still alive. So who can tell me who these 3 are? And I already gave a hint. One of them was a woman.
Gandhari.
Gandhari, yes.
Then Dhratrashtra was there.
Dhratrashtra was there, yes.
And Vidura.
Vidura, yes, absolutely right. So I expect you to be able to give the answers. So yes, not surprised. Okay, so yes. So these 3 people survived, and Vidura survived. Actually, all 3 survived because they actually did not participate in the battle. Obviously, Dhritarashtra was blind, so he could not participate. Gandhari was a woman, so she could not participate. And Vidura actually had left, and we'll tell you how. So he was not there to participate in the battle. So let's talk about who was Vidura. So actually, Vidura was an incarnation of Yamaraj, who had been cursed by a rishi by the name of Manduk. And I'm going to tell you the story of how Manduk Rishi came to curse Yamaraj. So what happened was that once the police in a state caught some thieves who had stolen stuff from the palace, and they were hiding themselves in the hermitage of Manduk Muni without Manduk Muni's knowledge. So the police came, and they found these thieves, and they arrested all of them. And they also arrested Manduk Muni, thinking that if they're hiding in his place, he must be their associate. And they took him all to the magistrate, and the magistrate sentenced them all to death, but he specifically punished Manduk Muni to death, and not ordinary death, death by being pierced with a lance. So imagine a lance going up the neck from here of somebody and then being told to just hang there until you die. And his logic was that you're dressed like a Muni, but you're actually a thief, therefore your punishment should be harsher. So Manduk Muni was just stunned, he couldn't say anything. But when he was just about to be pierced, the news of this thing happened, reached the king. And he at once stopped the act on consideration of his being a great Muni. So two people, the magistrate and the king, coming to opposite conclusions, but for the same reason, that he's a Muni. Anyway, so the Muni's life was spared, and the king personally begged for his pardon, for the mistake of his men, that's policeman, and the magistrate. And of course, Muni forgave him right away, but he was really angry, he was upset. So he went straight to Yamaraj and asked the reason for this whole thing happening. Why would I be sentenced to die by being, pierced with a lance? So Yamaraj said that in your childhood, you had pierced an ant with a sharpened straw and broke her eye. And for that reason, you are being punished. Well, Manduk Muni thought it was not only unwise, but it was totally unfair on the part of Yamaraj. Because he felt that what I did as a child was in childish innocence. And to an ant, why would I be punished like that for something so small? So he cursed Yamaraj to become a Shudra. So Yamaraj took birth as Vidura, who was the son of Vyasdev and the maid servant of Ambalika, one of the wives of Vichitravirya. And therefore he was the Dasi Putra or Shudra Putra. And obviously he was brother of Dhratrashtra and Pandu. So as you know from the story of Mahabharata, when the time came to decide who will inherit the throne of Hastinapur, Vidura, actually both Vidura and Dhratrashtra were disqualified. Vidura was disqualified because he was the son of a maid servant, and Dhratrashtra was disqualified because he was blind. But Vidura was the wisest among the three brothers. So he was valued greatly by Pandu and by Dhratrashtra for his sage counsel. And Vidura was very blunt. He was very blunt with his advice, and that bluntness was not appreciated by his nephew Duryodhana.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Yes.
Why did the Muni went through the whole thing? I kind of missed it in the between. What was the reason he went through that death penalty and which did not happen?
Oh, I guess you missed the story from the beginning. So some thieves had stolen something from the palace of the king. And
Right. But when he went to Yamaraj, he asked him why did he went through all this. So what was the reason for that?
For what?
So he questioned Yamaraj, right? That
Can
why
you
did
turn
I
the
go
video
through?
on, please, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Yes.
Prabhu.
Yes. So
So he went to Yamraj, right, and asked why did he has to go through this.
yes.
So what was the reasoning?
Reasoning for what?
That why did he had to go through punishment, which was later pardoned?
Oh, what I said was that Yamraj told him that as a child you had pierced the eye of an ant with a straw.
Okay.
And so you were being punished by being pierced by a lance. And as I was saying, Muni thought that was a very unfair and unwise decision. So he cursed him. Okay. Did I answer your question, Prabhu? Okay. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Just feel free to interrupt. No problem. Okay. Excuse me. So Duryodhan did not appreciate the blunt advice that Vidura was giving, and especially because Vidura's advice was almost always against what Duryodhan was trying to do. And he used to tell Dhratrashtra, the father of Duryodhan, that is Vidura used to tell his brother Dhratrashtra, that you are just so attached to your son. Your decisions are foolish and they're harmful to the family and to the kingdom. So you have to give up your blind attachment to your son Duryodhana. So, but Dhritarashtra valued his advice but did not always accept it, especially when it came to him having to do something against the wishes of Duryodhana. So once, just before the battle of Mahabharata, Vidura was advising Dhritarashtra again to give up this foolishness and his blind attachment to his son and to give the kingdom to Yudhishthir, the rightful owner of the kingdom, and this would avoid the mass scale killings. As he was telling Dhritarashtra to listen to his advice, Duryodhan came into the room and he heard what Vidura was saying, that Dhritarashtra should give his kingdom to Yudhishthir. So he got really rude with his uncle Vidura. He insulted him by calling him a son of a maid, which is Dasiputra, or son of a maid servant. And Duryodhan actually ordered him to leave the palace. He said, you are disloyal to this family. You're disloyal to the people who are providing your livelihood. So get out. Well, Vidura was actually very relieved by this. And immediately he left the palace. He said, good riddance, I don't want any part of this whole thing. And he started living in a hut not very far away from the palace. And after some time, he decided to go away on a pilgrimage just before the battle of Mahabharata started. And he was gone for a while. Then he came back from his pilgrimage and he came to Hastinapur. The war had ended by this time. Maharaj Yudhishthir had become the emperor by this time. And when Vidura came back, he was welcomed by everyone very warmly, and he was given his meals and taken sufficient, asked to take rest. And after he had taken sufficient rest, they all sat down in one room. Yudhishthir Maharaj, Kunti, all the other Pandavas, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Gandhari, everybody sat down and said, please tell us the details of your pilgrimage. And Vidura gave him all the details, including his meeting with Uddhava and Maitreya Rishi, which we'll discuss in our next class when we discuss Canto 3. The main reason for Vidura's return to Hastinapur was that he wanted to once again try to rectify the mentality of his elder brother Dhritarashtra. So one day, he sat down with Dhritarashtra And he said, my dear king, this is addressing Dhratrashtra, and it's kind of flattering him up by calling him a king. So saying, my dear king, please get out of here immediately. Do not delay. Do you realize that you actually look scared? Do you realize that your father, your well-wishers, your children, they're all dead? And then he said, you, my brother, have been blind since birth. And recently you have become hard of hearing. Your memory is shortened. Your teeth are loose. Your liver is defective. And you're coughing up mucus. He said, my dear brother, that means you too will die soon like your brothers, like your father and your children. And then he said, and you are living just like a household dog in the house of the Pandavas and eating remnants of the food given by Bhima, the very person you tried so hard to kill earlier. And he went on, Vidura went on. He said, my dear brother, there's no need to live a degraded life and subsist on charity of those you tried to kill. You know, do you remember you actually also insulted one of their wives? He's referring to Draupadi here. And you usurped their kingdom. So please understand, despite your unwillingness to die and your desire to live even at the cost of your honor and prestige, your body is dwindling. Your body is dwindling and you will die soon. And he tried to explain to Dhratrashtra further. He said, a person who understands the temporary nature of this miserable world and leaves home depending fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly a first-class man. And he said, please therefore leave for the north immediately without letting anybody know, because soon, very soon, Kali Yuga is coming. And Kali Yuga, people do not have all the good qualities of men that you're seeing today. So don't expect this treatment, nice treatment you're getting, to continue. Finally, Dhritarashtra was convinced by Vidura's arguments. And immediately, along with Gandhari and Vidura, he left home that very night. Next morning, as per his routine, Maharaj Yudhishthir went to the palace of Dhritarashtra to offer his respects and to give an idea of what the schedule for that day was. Asked for any advice or permission to take some decisions. And when he got there, Yudhishthir Maharaj got there, he found that his both uncles, Dhritarashtra and Vidura, and his aunt, Gandhari, was gone. So he looked everywhere, one room to another room to another room to another room, and he saw Sanjay sitting in one room. Sanjay was the charioteer and the counsel and the minister of Dhritarashtra. So very close to Dhritarashtra. He was sitting there, and he asked Sanjay about the whereabouts of his uncles and auntie. And Sanjay said, I have no idea. They didn't tell me anything. So they were sitting there trying to figure out where these three people might have gone when Narad Muni came in. And he told them that stop looking for these three people. They have gone to the north, to the foothills of Himalayas, in a place called Saptashrota. And he said, there, 5 days from now, Dhritarashtra will give up his body by burning himself in the fire of mystic power, which means the fire will come from inside of his body. And Gandhari will enter into the same fire to give up her body. And Vidura will leave that place for more pilgrimage. And having told them that, basically he told them because he didn't want Yudhishthir Maharaj to spend his time looking for Vidura. So he told them that he's gone. You don't know where he's gone. And Narad Muni left. So, any questions or comments so far? Yes. Damodar Charan Prabhu, go ahead. Oh, we lost your video. Yes.
Prabhu, Yudhishthira was still alive at this time?
Yes. There were 12 people who survived. Yudhishthira was one of them. For the information of other people, Yudhishthira was a stepbrother of Duryodhana. Actually, he was also Dasiputra. He was the son of Dhratrashtra and one of the maid servants of Gandhari. So he had switched sides on the day of the battle. He was fighting for Pandavas and he survived. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else? Okay, then we'll move on to the next chapter, which is chapter 14, the disappearance of Lord Krishna. And the chapter actually starts with saying that, some time had gone by after Dhritarashtra and Vidura and Gandhari had left the palace. And Arjuna started missing Lord Krishna. So he asked permission from Yudhishthir Maharaj and other brothers to go to Dwarka to see him. And of course, they said, of course, go. But Arjuna did not return for 7 months. I mean, that's a long time. And in the meantime, Maharaj Yudhishthir started to observe some very inauspicious omens. So, for example, he noticed that people in general are becoming greedy, angry, and deceitful. He noticed that there's a lot of cheating going on, even among friends and relatives. And there was a lot of misunderstanding between close relatives, even husbands and wives, or parents and children. So Yudhishthira Maharaj called his younger brother Bhima, and he said, I don't know why Arjuna has not yet returned. Is Krishna going to quit his body? He said, the left side of my body, like my thighs, my arms, my eyes are quivering again and again and again. And he said, I'm having heart palpitations because I feel some kind of fear in my heart. It looks like something really undesirable is about to happen. And he said, look, the jackals are crying as the sun is rising. And the dogs are barking at me. They're barking at me fearlessly. And the donkeys are circumambulating me. And my horses appear to be crying when they see me. He said, the cows are not giving milk. The deities in the temple seem to be crying as well. And all places seem to have lost their beauty. And there seems like no happiness in the world. And he mentioned a lot of other omens like that. I don't remember them. He mentioned a lot of other omens. That was chapter 14. Now we're on chapter 15, which is titled Pandavas Retire Timely. So as Yudhishthir Maharaj was speaking to Bhima, explaining all these omens he was observing, Arjuna came back. But Arjuna looked dejected. His head was down, and there were tears coming from his eyes. Maharaj said, hey, please tell me what happened. If are all our relatives in Dwarka are happy? Is everyone doing well? And then he specifically asked for Ugrasen, Vasudev, Devaki, Lord Balaram, Pradyumna, the son of Lord Krishna, Aniruddha, the grandson, and other sons and grandsons of Lord Krishna. And then he asked about Lord Krishna himself. How is he doing? And he continued asking many, many questions. He asked about Arjuna's own health. And he said, you look like you've lost your bodily luster. And he said, wait a minute, you are a warrior, you're a Kshatriya. Have you lost your bodily luster because you somebody had disrespected you, somebody neglected you because you stayed in Dwarka for 7 months, like you overstayed your welcome? Or were you not able to give protection to somebody who asked for it? Or were you not able to give in charity to somebody who asked for it? Like, what happened? Or have you been defeated by somebody who is not as good as you are? Or have you lost our most intimate friend, Lord Krishna? Well, when he heard the last question, Arjun he just broke down. He just literally broke down. And with great difficulty, checked his tears, and he said to Yudhishthir, yes, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who was my intimate friend, has left me. And he said, because of that, my outstanding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. It was only by his mercy that I was able to pierce the fish target and thereby gain the hand of Draupadi. So there's a story about Draupadi's Swayamvar, the marriage, where the condition that his father had put was that anybody who, while looking at the reflection of a fish in a bowl of oil, can hit the eye of the fish, which is hanging from the ceiling very high, and there's a circular object rotating just below it, and the circular object has only one hole. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. It has multiple holes. And so therefore, not looking up, but looking down in the oil, excuse me, at the reflection of the fish, somebody has shoot the arrow upwards to go through the hole, one of the holes of the circular object, and hit the eye of the fish. So obviously a lot of people tried, they were not able to do that. Arjun did that. So he said, I was able to do that. He said, because Krishna was with me, I was able to defeat Indra. And I was able to enable the fire god Agni to devour the Khanda forest, which is another story. And I saved the Maidana from that forest fire. It was by Krishna's grace that our brother Bhima was able to kill Jarasandha. And then he said, remember during our exile for 12 years, Krishna saved us from the potential curse of Durvasa Muni by accepting the remnant of food, which is the story about Durvasa Muni and his 10,000 disciples showed up just after Draupadi had finished eating. So there's a whole pastime of that. And he said, it was by his influence only that I was able to astonish Lord Shiva. And I received his weapon, Pashupat. He said, the other demigods also delivered their respective weapons to me when I reached the heavenly kingdom in this very body. He said, O king, now I am bereft of that Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose influence I was so powerful. It was by his mercy only that I was able to defeat the huge army of Kauravas, which was headed by Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and Shalya, respectively. It was by his grace that great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Jayadratha could not even touch a hair on my head. We, Krishna and I, used to live together and sleep, sit and joke together. Now I'm separated from my friend and my well-wisher, that Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, my dear brother, I feel a great void in my heart. And then he admitted that in his absence, I have been defeated by a number of infidel cowherd men while I was guarding the wives of Krishna. So as he was returning, Arjuna was defeated. And he said, like they're silly untrained soldiers, So Arjun lamented further. He said, I have the very same Gandiva bow. I have the same arrows. I have the same chariot drawn by the same horses. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, none of them were effective. Then Arjuna added, and he was referring to another pastime of the Yadus being cursed to die. And he said that due to a curse by the Brahmanas, all but 4 or 5 relatives and friends of Krishna in Dwarka have survived. Everybody else got drunk and killed each other. And then Arjuna started to remember all the instructions of Bhagavad Gita that he received from Lord Krishna just before the battle of Kurukshetra. And that helped him, that made his mind become pacified. His devotion increased, and all the trash in his thoughts subsided. That is the effect of remembering the instructions, the form, the qualities, the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Whenever in trouble, whenever feeling worried or sad or morose or helpless or whatever, Arjuna taught us, if you think about Krishna, his form, his qualities, his instructions, we will start to feel much, much better. Well, when Yudhishthir Maharaj heard about Lord Krishna's departure, he decided to give up his kingdom and retire from his kingly duties. Mother Kunti heard that Arjuna had arrived and she said, I don't understand. Why did he not come to me first and offer his obeisances? What's he doing in the court? I started walking towards that and she heard. As she was about to enter the court, she heard Arjuna say, Lord Krishna has left this planet. As soon as she heard that, immediately she gave up her body. I went back to Golok Vrindavan. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, of course, took care of the last rites and everything else. Then he enthroned his grandson, Parikshit Maharaj, as the emperor of the world. And he posted Krishna's great-grandson, Vajra, who was the son of Krishna's grandson, Anirudh, as the king of Mathura. And he himself, Yudhishthir Maharaj himself, accepted the renounced order of life. He relinquished his royal clothes and ornaments, and he put on saffron colored clothes of a sannyasi. And he started towards the north to devote himself completely to the thoughts of Lord Krishna. Well, his younger brother said, wait a minute, you can't go alone, we'll come with you. So everyone, all the other 4 brothers, they followed him. And they reached a certain place, they sat down, they fixed their minds on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and gave up their body and went back home, back to Godhead.
A question, Prabhuji. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
As of I know, I don't know how many sons does Pandavas have, because 5 of them died during the battle. So how come the grandson, is it the one of the Arjuna's sons?
No, Parikshit Maharaj was the son of Abhimanyu, who was the son of Arjuna.
Okay.
Hence the grandson.
Okay, got it.
Remember, he was the only survivor. We talked about him last week, right?
Yes. Okay, got it, Prabhu. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ram Prabhu.
After how much time, after how many months or years Krishna left?
I'm sorry, how many years was he on this planet?
Yes, right.
A total of 125 years.
Oh, no, sorry. My question was after the war, after the Kurukshetra war, after how much time he survived? Not survived, he left.
So I think you're asking how long after the battle Lord Krishna leaves this planet. right? Okay, so I don't know the exact answer. It doesn't say anywhere, but my guess is it was not very long. It could have been 1 year, 2 years. I'm not sure. I haven't read anywhere where it says this long, but it was not very long. I know that when he went back from the battle, he killed a few more demons like Dantavakra and no, not Shishupal, a few other demons, and then he went back and left the planet. So let's just say 1 or 2 years, not very long. Okay, but I'm sorry, I don't know the exact answer.
That's that's what even I thought when you were saying about 7 months and immediately.
Yeah, so Arjun was there for 7 months. Yes, correct.
And also you were mentioning about in Dwarka people killed each other, right? Is it not like Dwarka got immersed into the ocean?
Say Prabhu again.
I think Dwarka got into the ocean, right?
No, that's later on, Prabhu. Okay. That's later. So, I mean, very quickly, I'll tell you the story. Basically, Samba was one of the sons of Lord Krishna, and he was very naughty. And so one day he was playing with his friends, his brothers, and he saw a number of number of rishis sitting in a place. So he decided to play a joke on them. So he put a steel wok in his stomach, hid it under his dress, and put on a sari, dressed like a woman, like a pregnant woman. And they took him to these sages and said, "Can you please forecast whether this woman is going to have a son or a daughter?" Well, they understood right away who this person is. It's not a female, it's a male. So they got very angry and they cursed him that whatever it is there will be the cause of the destruction of your entire Yadu dynasty. So these kids got scared. They went to Ugrasen, told him what happened. So Ugrasen had the whole steel wok ground to powder, literally ground to powder, and he threw it in the ocean. But there was a small piece left because you cannot grind it that. So they threw in the ocean. And that small piece was eaten by a fish, was caught by a fisherman who sold the fish to a hunter by the name of Jara, who cut it open, found that piece and put it on his arrow. He used that arrow to hit the soul of Lord Krishna. Soul means the sole of the feet. And the powder grew into bamboo sticks. And then one day, the entire dynasty got drunk and they started fighting with each other using those bamboo sticks, which was really steel. And all of them died in that battle. So very quickly, that's the pastime.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Navneet.
So did Draupadi also left for North with Pandavas?
Yes, Draupadi and Subhadra, the two wives. Okay.
Radhika,
Just,
yes.
I mean, just in what you described, and I understand it's like the effect of a curse, but it seems like such an unglorious end to the Yadu dynasty, which is the dynasty to which Krishna belongs. Like, how can it be so unglorious?
I'm so glad you asked that question. That's a very good question. So, who were the Yadus? A vast majority, not all, but a vast majority were the demigods who had been ordered by Krishna to appear in his dynasty. These Yadus had become extremely powerful. Lord Krishna was worried that after I leave, they'll become puffed up of their power and start to misuse the power. So he said, when I wrap up my pastime, I want all these people to go back to wherever they came from. So he arranged this whole pastime of Sambag thinking about doing this joke, then being cursed, and then getting all these people drunk, who were some very extraordinary people, getting drunk and then killing each other. This is all a pastime of Krishna, his way of wrapping up his pastime. No other reason. This is what he wanted.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. No, great question. Anybody else? Okay, all right. So then let's Okay, so somebody was asking about Subhadra. Yes, so Subhadra and Draupadi were there, and actually, what Bhagavatam says is that they saw the five brothers, the Pandavas, leaving their body, without caring for them. So they say, oh, wait a minute, that can't happen. So they also became completely absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, and they attained the same result as their husbands. And then it's mentioned that Vidura also left his body wherever he was. Actually says that he went to the place where this fight between the members of the Yadu dynasty happened. Prabhas Kshetra is called, it's in Gujarat. And he left his body, but who was he? He was Yamaraj, right? And he had asked the chairman of the Pitraloka, Aryama, to substitute for him, be the acting Yamaraj during his absence. So when he went back, he was received by the residents of Pitraloka and Aryama, and then returned to his original post of Yamaraj. So that is the end of Canto 1. Because other stories in Canto 1 I've covered before. I did not go exactly in the same order. So again, I'm going to pause and see if any questions or comments.
I have one question. So the whole purpose of this battle of Kurukshetra was to uphold dharma. And
what are the purposes? Yes.
Right. Oh yeah, one of the purposes. And when so we see in the end that how Pandavas were given the charge of the kingdom, and but still, after all that happened, why did they leave it and just retire and not continue with the dharmic duty of guiding the society or whatever, after Krishna left?
Yeah, another great question. So a couple of reasons, bro. One is that they consider more important and more valuable to be in the service of Krishna than in the service of society. That's one reason. The second reason is that they had established stability and the religious principles after time, but they also knew that Kali Yuga is coming. And they said, no matter who is there, Kali Yuga is going to show its effect. So they didn't want to have anything to do with that. So that decided the timing, but ultimately their purpose was to serve Krishna, not the kingdom. So that's why they left. They found somebody very capable in their grandson, Parikshit Maharaj, as we know from the stories we heard before. And so they gave the kingdom to him, and then they left. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Prabhu, one question. Okay, so Prabhu, I heard that Pitraloka, right? People who are destined to go to Nark or hell are made to wait in Pitraloka, and then they spend some time there.
Mm-hmm.
And but I could not find a reference. So is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay, and then how does the Shraddh ceremony is linked to Pitraloka? So people do every year Shraddh, and then they say, okay, it goes to the ancestors in Pitraloka.
Correct. So basically, the residents of Pitraloka depend upon the Shraddha from their descendants. And if they don't get it, they become hungry. So the idea is that if you offer Shraddha ceremony to their ancestors, then they will not be hungry. Sunana Mata, just 1 second. And what happens also is that if they don't get it for a while, they become very angry and very mad, and they actually become Yamdutas at that time, and they curse their descendants. So So it's a good idea to do that unless you're a devotee offering Mahaprasad to them. So for example, just to tell you something personal, I don't do Shraddha so much, but every time I offer Mahaprasad to my ancestors, which is even better than Shraddha. So if I have any ancestors left in Pitraloka, they're all getting Mahaprasad.
Yes. Yeah, this time actually, Srinath Prabhu was there at my home and he also did the same thing. Yeah. Okay. So as a practicing devotees, we can still do, right? Because I
yes,
see
of course.
some. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Lord Chaitanya did that.
Lord Chaitanya did, Lord Ram did. So
absolutely, you can do that.
Thank you.
Sunana Mataji, you were asking?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, this question always comes in my mind, but I never, got that answer. That when we talk about Pritloka and we talk about the Shad, but at the same time we say that we are bodies and our relationship in this world is still this world only. I mean, if I have father and I'm his, I'm my father's daughter, but this relationship with him is just to this world. When he leaves his body, I am leaving my body. We are no more father and daughter kind of thing, right? This is to this world only. So then how the Pritloka and that concept comes that we are still their ancestors and we still, do the Shraddha and out of this, it confuses me when the relationship in this world only, why that still is there.
Yeah. So essentially what happens, Mataji, is that we owe a debt to our ancestors because without them we would not be born. So this is a way established to clear our debts. And hence that relationship is maintained. But once they have left Pitraloka, there's no more relationship. It's only as long as they're sitting in Pitraloka. Once they take another body, then the relationship is finished. Just like you're saying.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, got it, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Anybody else?
Prabhuji, what about Radha Rani? It's only till Vrindavan. After that, what happened to her and where she was when
So she comes from Golok Vrindavan in the spiritual world and she goes back to Golok Vrindavan.
From there. But when does she go?
So basically there's a pastime that after Lord Krishna had killed Dantavakra after the battle of Mahabharata, he actually went to Vrindavan. He spent some time there. He married Radharani. He married all the gopis, billions of them. And then after that, he called his chariot, put everybody in that chariot, and went back home to Golok Vrindavan. And then he came back to Dwarka.
Oh, okay.
Also understand that the pastime of Radha and Krishna is Nitya Leela, which means happening at every moment, but in some other universe. So they are there in some other universe anyway, but in the material world. All the time. They might not be on this universe, but they're somewhere. Okay? So as we
should think that still they are somewhere enjoying.
Ras Leela is going on somewhere. As we speak, Bakasura is being killed somewhere. As we speak, Putana is being killed somewhere. And on and on and on. It's getting better somewhere. So hide your butter.
Okay. Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah. Bhadra Krishna Prabhu?
So there is a nice series of lectures by our god brother Prashant Mukund Prabhu, and he talks about the journey of the soul after death.
Okay.
As to what are the stations that it goes through, how long it has to be, it stays in which station, and what are the kind of punishments we get, and eventually before it gets the new body, what stages it passes through and how long we have to walk. So it's a very nice description. It's in about 3 or 4, I think 4 or 5 different lectures.
Now I think 6 sessions.
Yeah, I think about now there's a 6th version also of that, and he explains it very clearly. So it is worth listening. I can send the link.
Okay, sure. I mean, if people are interested, like personally, I don't care much for that, Prabhu.
Right.
Because, we're trying to be devotees. And all we want to know is from here to Golok Vrindavan, how do we get there? So all our effort is in that. So, but if somebody is interested, yes, please let him know and he can send it to you. I would rather be chanting. Okay. What
Prabhuji,
is
I have a question.
So sorry, Amrita Mata is there first. Sorry. Is it Amrita Mata? She has Sunil there. You're on mute. Mata, you're on mute. Okay. So was there a question from Sunil Prabhu? Maybe not.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Did I
Prabhu,
get your name right?
yes,
Oh,
yes.
wonderful.
Sunil and Amrita. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, just as they just said, I know, Prabhu, you can just send that link to me as well, to us. Just a quick thing, because I've heard in one of the lectures that they say that once the soul departs from here, it only takes like 7 months. Like it's just a sleep of 7 months, and we take the next body.
So tell you
So
what,
if we
Mata,
are
on your chat, just put your email address and he'll send it to you.
okay, sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sonam?
Prabhuji, I mean, I had asked this question earlier as well, but then every time I failed to do, so that's why I'm asking again. As you said that, from this pastime, when Arjuna, meditates upon the pastimes on the body form of Krishna, and then he gets relieved from his distress. And you said that is what we all should be doing. But personally, I've tried it, I don't know how many times, but whenever some material misery comes, for example, a job loss, or somebody has convicted you for something which you've never done, and you get so much of stress, and then you have a class in the evening and you say that, okay, you know what, today I'm not going to attend the class. So that is something that keeps on happening, even if I've been trying so much, because I remember you many a times you have told me to, you said that you will feel better, come in the class. But when I come in the class, I actually feel better, but then next time when the same thing happens, I am stuck at the same place. So how to go about it?
Call yourself Jiddi and stop doing it. So seriously, remember what Kunti Maharaj said. I think of you every time I'm in trouble. And it's a lesson to always remember. Think of Krishna whenever you're in trouble, of any kind. And it's guaranteed. The feeling will go away. Trouble may not go away, but the feeling will go away. And that's what you want.
So means keep on trying till you don't succeed, is it?
No. Keep on trying. You will succeed.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's what was you saying last night? Hum honge kamyab.
Yeah.
Hum honge kamyab, guaranteed.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
Prabhu also, like Maharaj also says, like pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional.
Yes, thank you. Exactly right. So that's our choice. Optional means our choice. Do you want to suffer or not? If you like suffering, go ahead. I mean, that's different. But if you don't, think Krishna. It's a proven method. It really is. Okay? All right. So let's move on then.
Prabhu, I had a question.
Hi, Prabhu, go ahead.
So my question was that basically you just said that after killing that dude, that demon, sorry, I forgot his name.
Dantavakra,
yes, sorry. After killing Dantavakra, Krishna went back to Vrindavan, and then in one of the Rath, he got all the gopis and Radharani.
All the residents.
Okay, so there's a confusion that if that happened, then I think the second Bhagavad Katha was done by Uddhava for all the queens of Dwarka. And in that, Kalinda is saying that I'm happy because I have accepted the Kinkritva of Radharani. And Radharani blessed Jamvati's son, great-grandson, right? Forgot the name of whose son he was, but that he will re-establish Vajranam, that he will re-establish the places of like all the leelas, right?
Right.
So how did she, like, if Radharani was not there, then how
That
did?
was no, that was in Kurukshetra when Radharani went there. This is way
Okay.
before. Way before.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on.
I'll ask
Sorry?
probably. I will ask the question at the end of the class.
Of course you can. Of course you can. Go ahead, bro. Rampriyam.
Oh, okay.
Of course you can.
Okay. Parikshit was like a 2 years baby when Pandavas left.
No. He was grown up.
Okay.
I think more like, I don't know exactly, but I think he was 17, 18 years old by then.
After the war, they came and Yudhishthira became the king, and then within 2 years they left. Means
sorry, say again?
Actually, Parikshit born during the war time, right? During those 18 days.
After the war.
Yeah,
Not
sorry.
during. After.
Probably the last day.
Yeah, so basically almost, it doesn't say how many days, but few days after.
Yeah, few days after. So, and then after that, it took like 2 years for Pandavas to.
No, Prabhu. Remember I was saying I don't know the answer.
Okay.
So it may be like 17, 18 years. I just don't know. Okay.
Thanks.
Sure. All right.
Can I ask, what was the relation of Parikshit Maharaj with the Pandavas?
Yes, Parikshit Maharaj was the son of Abhimanyu, who was the son of Arjun.
Okay.
So that's why Yudhishthira says, this is my grandson, I'm going to make him the emperor. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, the first canto, at the end of the first canto, there are two questions that Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami. The first question is, please show me the way of perfection for all persons, but especially for one who's about to die. So show me the perfection, or show the way of perfection for all persons, especially the one who's going to die or is about to die. And second question was, tell me what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship. And please also tell me what a man should not do. So these two questions. Show me the way of perfections, show the way of perfections, especially for one who's going to die. And what should a person hear, chant, remember, and worship? And what should they not do? Okay. So that's the end of Canto 1. The second canto starts with Shukadeva Goswami appreciating these two questions so much that he immediately started answering questions, which is against the normal practice where you chant the Mangalacharan first, the prayers of invocation before doing anything. But he completely forgot. So we'll talk about in chapter 4 of second canto, he remembers it does this Mangalacharan. But anyway, so there's a very wonderful verse in second canto, first chapter. It says, Variyan eshte prashna, krito lokhutam nipa, atmavit sammatah punsham, shotavyadishu yapara. He says, my dear king, your question is glorious. Like, what a word, glorious. I always say good question, great question, but he's saying glorious question. Because, why? Because it's beneficial. You could say it's extremely, extremely beneficial to all kinds of people. And the answer to this question is the best subject matter for hearing. And it is approved by all transcendentalists. And he said, simply by questioning and hearing, one can achieve the highest perfectional stage of life. What is the highest perfectional stage of life? Question to you. What is the highest perfectional stage of life?
Love for Krishna and devotional
Yes,
service.
yes, exactly right. Lord Chaitanya said, achieve the transcendental loving service of Krishna. Sutta Goswami said, materialistic people have thousands of subject matters of hearing. They hear about movie stars, politics, gossip. He didn't say that, but I'm saying that telephone companies make the billions of dollars of profit simply by exploiting the people's desire to gossip. If the people stop gossiping, telephone companies will go bankrupt. And then he said, the materialistic people sleep at night and they try to make money. Excuse me. Try to make money during the day. They never inquire into the problems of life. Why? Because they're too attached to their body. They're too attached to their wife. They're too attached to their children. And so, all this hearing about the wrong things, wrong people, wrong topics, and not inquiring into the problems of life are the things that people should not be doing, which was the second part of the first question. What people should not be doing, and that's the answer to that. And then and I'm going to share the screen, so I can put on the screen also. He chanted 2 verses. There you go. Would somebody like to read the verse of the translation?
I will read, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Sarvoyaha Pritivasya Cha Samravasya Chechatabhyaham Abhyam.
Translation.
One who desires to free from all miseries must hear about glories and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is Super Soul, the controller and the savior of from all miseries.
Right. So he's saying that abhayam actually means fear. Sorry, freedom from fear. Bhaya means fear. Abhayam means freedom from fear. So here, in the translation, Prabhupada has used the word miseries, which is basically the same thing. So one who desires to be free from all types of fear or miseries must hear about Shrotavya, must glorify the Kirtitavya, and must remember Smartavya. But whom? And he uses these 4 words: Sarvatma, which is Paramatma; Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead; Ishwara, the Supreme Controller; and Hari, the Stealer of the Heart, Supreme Personality of God. So saying, therefore, basically, it's all pointing, all those 4 words are pointing to Lord Krishna. So saying, anyone who wants freedom from fear and miseries must hear about, chant or glorify, and remember Krishna, which is what we were discussing a few minutes ago, right? And then he added the next verse. Who would like to say?
I can go ahead.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Etavan sankhya yoga bhyam swadharma parinistaya janma labha parha pumsham ante narayana smriti. The highest perfection of human life, achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life.
Right. So, a very important question has been answered here, which is, what is the highest perfection? Actually, if you look at the two words, the second line, first two words, it's Janma Labha. What does Labha mean? Profit. Right? So what is the profit of taking birth as what? Punsam, human being. Para means maximum or highest. So what is the highest profit of getting birth as a human being? And the answer is given in the last three words. Ante Narayana Smriti. To remember Lord Krishna at the moment of death. Right? You may recall from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Antakale cha mamevo ismaran muktva kalevaram. Yah prayati samad bhavam asti nasti atra sanshaya. If you think of me at the time of death, at the moment of death, you will come to me. And then he adds, he says, Yam yam vapi smaranam bhavam, tejati antah kalevaram. Tantam evaiti kaunteya sada tadbhav bhavita. He says, whatever you're thinking at the moment of death is the body you will get. So here, instead of trying to get some other kind of body, let's get to the point of how we can ensure that we remember Krishna at the moment of death. What is the most frightful moment of your life? What is the most frightful moment of your life? That's death, the moment of death. So he's saying, therefore, the most frightful moment of your life, that is death, remember me, and you'll come to me. And Sutta Goswami is saying the same thing. Janma labha parapunsam ante narayana smriti. Even if you cannot remember the first line, just remember this second line. Note it down, the number or the verse itself in your notes, and repeat yourself to yourself every day for the next few days until you memorize it completely. Janma labha parapunsam ante narayana smriti. The highest perfection of life is to remember Krishna at the last moment of life. Okay, so very, very important message here that that Sutta Goswami is giving to Shaurakrishi. Excuse me. I should also add that I forget who was giving the class, that somebody asked, so out of the three, hearing, chanting, and remembering, which is the topmost of the three? And the answer that the person who was speaking gave was that it's the chanting. Why? Because in chanting, you're also hearing at the same time. So it's 2 for 1 deal. Double the profit. So yes, we should be chanting all the time. Not to say don't hear, not to say don't glorify, not to say don't remember, but out of the three, chanting is the most important. Okay? Then Sutta Goswami said the topmost, sorry, I said Sutta Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami told Parikshit. This is Sutta Goswami saying that Shukadeva Goswami said that the topmost transcendentalists take great pleasure in glorifying the Lord. They take great pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. And then Shukadeva Goswami said, I learned Srimad Bhagavatam from my father. Who was the father? Anybody knows? Who was the father of Shukadeva?
Vyasadeva.
Yes, Vyasadeva. And Shukadeva says, I was an impersonalist until I heard the pastimes of Krishna. So anybody remembers what pastimes were being narrated? Shukadeva Goswami said, I want to know more. No.
Putna.
Yes.
It was some Bal Leela.
So Radhavino Das who was right. So first verse was about Putana tried to kill him, but Krishna is so merciful that he actually gave her the position of a mother in Golok Vrindavan. Then the second verse was about what?
It was about the beauty of Krishna. Like,
Yes, very good, Rukmini. Yeah. It was how beautiful Krishna looks in his yellow garments, peacock feather, bluish complexion, and all that. So, yes. So, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, I got attracted by that, even though I was an impersonalist. And Sukadeva Goswami said, now I will recite the very same Srimad Bhagavatam before you. Why? Because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. And he said, one who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord Krishna. So here's a formula. How do you achieve unflinching faith in Lord Krishna? Somebody answer it, please, for me.
Listen to the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad
Yeah, listen, but there's a method.
attentively.
By
Attentively
attentive hearing.
Yes, absolutely. Very important. Full attention, full respect. Okay. Constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord is what I would say, doubtless, like no doubt about this, and the fearless way of success for everyone, even including those who are already free from material desires. And of course, it is good for people who are desirous of material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied because of their transcendental knowledge. And he said, therefore, my dear king, it is better to live a moment full of Krishna consciousness than a prolonged, wasted life. So better to live a moment full of Krishna consciousness than a prolonged, wasted life. And he gave the example of King Khatwanga. King Khatwanga fought the demons on behalf of the demigods. And when the battle was over, after a very long time, he was very tired, and the demigod said, we are very pleased with you. Ask for any benediction you want. And he said, before I ask, tell me how much longer do I have to live? And they said, only a moment or so. I said, okay then, I don't want anything. He sat down and focused on the lotus feet of the Lord and at once freed himself from all material activities and achieved liberation. So you don't need long time. A moment is enough, but it's got to be the moment with the right ingredients in terms of the submission, in terms of the focus, in terms of surrender, all those kind of things. And then Sukadeva Goswami said, my dear Parikshit, now that you know that you have only 7 days to live, you can now perform those activities that will lead you to the perfectional stage of life, which is the loving devotional service unto the lotus feet of the Lord. And he said, at this stage, one should not be afraid of death and cut off all attachments to the material body. And remember the transcendental letters Om, Om, and control the body. Sorry, not control the body. Control the mind by meditating upon various limbs of the Lord. By this system of remembrance, one can very soon attain devotional service to the Lord. So that's how he answered the first question, and which was about the duty of the person who's on the threshold of death. I'm going to pause again. Any questions?
Can you again summarize, please, the answer?
Well, the simple answer was, he was saying that listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam, stop your other material activities, don't be afraid of death, cut off your attachment to the material things, material body or whatever, and control your mind by meditating upon the various limbs of the Lord. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay, all right, then I'll keep going. Okay. So then Shukadeva Goswami started talking about, I just said meditate. But I want to make it clear that not everybody is able to meditate upon the lotus feet of the Lord or the various limbs of the Lord. He said materialistic people meditate on the Virat Roop of the Lord, the Virat Swarup, the universal form that Krishna showed to Arjun during his narration of Bhagavad Gita. And the yogis meditate upon the super soul. But the topmost process is the performance of devotional service in association with other devotees. The three main processes don't change. What were the three main processes? Hearing, chanting, and remembering. That doesn't change. But he's saying that they are the topmost. And then he said, and this is what we've been hinting at for a long time, hearing is not just hearing. Hearing is hearing it, understanding it, and realizing it. So let's make sure everybody understands that. So what is the difference between hearing and hearing to understand and to realize? Anybody?
Yeah, there are like real-time examples. Like we know the mantras, but we don't know the actual meaning of that. So those can be like an example of hearing.
Okay, I'm looking for a little bit more.
Yeah, Prabhu, you want me to go? I can tell you.
Of
Hearing,
course,
basically, yeah, okay. Knowledge, understanding, and realization. This is what you are talking about. So first, hearing is just having basic knowledge, just to know. But understanding, meditating, and trying to know more details, meditate on that, and realizing, that means you put it into practice.
Yes. So definitely, if you can't put in practice, which is realization, then what's the use? Similarly, hearing, while trying to understand. If you don't understand it, then what's the use of hearing? Right? It's like sometimes we hear a mundane story and we pay attention, we may not pay attention, we got the major details and we're okay with that. Or we hear, mundane Bollywood songs, Nazar Lagi Raja Tere Bangle Mein, but it doesn't mean anything. So it has to mean something to us. And so he's saying, yes.
You should have the trust and faith when you're hearing.
Yes, if you don't have trust and faith, you will not understand it. Absolutely. You will not realize it, you will not apply it. So that's very important. Absolutely right. Okay. So then he said, otherwise, and Radhanath Swami actually uses the term pious entertainment. He says, if you come to a class that I'm giving, this is Radhanath Swami talking, and you just hear it, to get some enjoyment because I tell stories, I kind of say it in a nice way, then that's just pious entertainment. No benefit, or very minimal benefit. So you got to hear this. Focus, submission, pay attention, try to understand what the message is, and then go home and try to apply. So actually, my advice to everyone always is, when you hear the class, sometime after that, try to say, okay, what was said? What did I get out of this? How much can I recall? What did I retain? And what can I apply? How does it apply to me? So actually, somebody else said that when we hear a class, we should be hearing from the perspective of what is the context? What is the message? How does it apply to me? And did I understand it enough to explain to somebody else? If you do those four things, your whole way of hearing will change. Yes, Sunana Mataji?
when we talk about all this hearing and keeping the attention and everything, like we talked about the mind, but I was thinking, like, isn't it that to control the mind is difficult, but to do all these things we need to use our intelligence?
Absolutely.
I mean, so how to control the intelligence? Because mind is no doubt difficult to control, but to keep the correct use of the intelligence.
If you hear attentively and understand the intelligence will automatically be adjusted to do the right thing. But remember, the function of intelligence is to discriminate the right from the wrong. Right? So if you're hearing it properly, then your consciousness would be closer to Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, intelligence obviously thinking the right way.
Correct. Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Oh, somebody, Usha Mataji, you have raised your hand? Okay, maybe not. Okay. All right. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask a related question to the intelligence you just mentioned. So, like on a daily basis, when we are, doing our material duties, how do we make sure that this is right and this is wrong? Like, what should be our context around figuring out whether I'm doing the right thing or wrong thing from intelligence point of view?
Yeah, another great question. So basically, the decision-making power are the scriptures and those devotees who understand the scriptures. So therefore, if it is consistent with the scriptures and the instructions we have received from our senior devotees, then it's the right one. If it is simply for pleasing me, not necessarily consistent with what the scriptures ask or the instructions of a senior devotee or guru, then it's wrong. It really is that simple. Now you can say, well, if I don't understand the scriptures, then what do we do? Well, then there's a problem. And that's why we say study the scriptures. That's why we say take a guru. Have somebody, even if it's not a guru, have somebody you're accountable to. So a mentor or some senior god brother, or a senior devotee in the temple or whoever. Somebody who can guide you, whose opinion you respect. Right? And make sure that it's consistent. That's the only way, Prabhu. Otherwise you will do what your heart pleases. And that's not always right.
Yes, Prabhu.
But Prabhu, it's not like where you can find peace when you take the decision. Is that not that you think that it's the right one?
Well, so depends upon what mode of material nature you're in. What you just said, if you're in mode of goodness, yes, that's correct. But what if you're in mode of ignorance? Right? Then all the wrong things seem right. Eat meat, kill animals, cheat somebody, rob somebody, do all sorts of nonsense. That seems right. And mind is very much at peace. Right? But that doesn't make it right.
What if some things we are unable to discuss with anyone whom we trust or a guru? Then in such type of things, where can we find the solution of right solution?
You'd be surprised. If you recall, I think in the first week, we said that Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. So if you have a question, you can't ask Krishna directly, go to Srimad Bhagavatam, open a page, you'll have an answer. Try it, Mataji. It's a guaranteed formula. Just try it. Open a page.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Right?
I'll try, Prabhuji.
And if
I'll
you don't have Bhagavatam said, I'll ask Nandi Mukhi to send you one. Do you have a set?
Yes. Yes, sure.
Sorry?
Prabhuji. But I'll contact Nandi Mataji.
Okay, all right. Yeah, please get it from her. Okay, same thing goes for everyone. If you don't have a set, if you want to invest a little bit of money, try to get one. Until then, you can read the internet. But I'll tell you, it's not the same. However, it will do well until you get one. That's that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Puna Mataji.
Yeah, is the you asked is the Krishna and Krishna name is the same Krishna?
Correct.
How we prove this?
Sorry, Mataji.
How we can prove the?
Very simple, Mataji. Very simple.
Yeah.
Try to chant Krishna's name sincerely.
Yeah.
With loving feeling, and feel his presence. You'll think he's sitting with you. I guarantee it. All you do is take his name with loving feeling, and you'll feel his presence.
Yeah, Prabhu, is this right? But
can you turn your video on, please? I have very difficult time.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu. I feel is this right? Because so many years I am in the association, but everybody asks if you feel Krishna, you chant the name of Krishna and you feel the Krishna. But when I chant, it's a very busy.
Sorry, when you said what?
When we chant, the atmosphere is busy. How it's possible?
Like, what do you mean atmosphere is busy?
Like when we...
Like mind is busy.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Mind is busy.
Oh, mind is busy. Okay, yeah. And that's the problem. So, Mataji, imagine that I invite you for lunch to my place.
Okay.
Right?
I'm
just imagine, just imagine, right? And you come to my place. You travel. Are you in Vancouver or in Toronto?
I'm in Vancouver.
Vancouver. So imagine if you fly all the way from Vancouver to Toronto.
Okay.
You come to my house.
Okay.
I open the door. I allow you to sit in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And I turn the TV on and I go away from the room. And if you sit there for 2 hours, I don't talk to you, I don't see you, I don't sit with you. And then I offer you lunch. You eat your lunch, I don't talk to you, and I say, okay, bye-bye. And you leave. Will you ever come back to my house?
No, never.
Okay. Isn't that what we're doing with Krishna when my mind is busy doing something else and I'm taking Krishna's name? What's the difference?
Right.
Right? That's what we're doing, and that's why you don't feel his presence. He doesn't come. But the day, I just change the scenario. You come, I welcome you with all my heart. With great honor, I bring you to the living room. I sit with you. I offer you something to drink, something to eat, and we ask about everything about you and then tell you about me. And you have a wonderful time. Will you ever come back again? You may not want to leave. Right?
Yes.
And that's the difference, Mataji. That's the difference.
Haribol. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pitashri. Very, very good example. You are great. Thank you.
Haribol, Prabhu. Haribol.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nandi Mukhi Mataji. You always ask, come in the class.
She's the best.
Yeah, she is. And you are the best, Prabhu.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Haribol.
Haribol. Any other questions?
Thank you. Nice answer.
We are about 8 minutes over. And so I'm at a point where I think I can logically stop and take it up in the next week. But I'd be happy to answer any other questions you have.
Prabhuji, can you quickly share that screen where there was the shloka? And
yes.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
Take a screenshot.
Sure. So you'll have to take 2 screenshots because I think they extend the page.
Okay.
Oh, let me reduce the font size.
We can copy paste it on the chat directly.
Okay, taken, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Sorry, somebody say something?
Yeah, me, Prabhu, Amrita. Prabhu, how to, just a follow-up question, what the Mataji have just asked, how to control your monkey mind, like though you're chanting, but still your mind keep going here and there, and you again bring it back, and then again it goes, and then you're again, so it's just so, it's not easy because whatever the day-to-day activities goes around and it just keeps coming. So some tips to control that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you remember the verse in Bhagavad Gita where Arjun says, mind is very fickle? Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. So why is mind fickle? The reason it is fickle is that it gets bored very easily. It's like children. They're very fickle because they get bored very easily. And I see a child with you, I'm sure you can relate to that. So mind is like that. So what do you do with your child to stop from being bored? You give them a task, something to do. The mind is looking for a task. And so what kind of task can you give your mind? For example, if you sorry about that, just disturbing me here. Oh my God.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So if you give the mind a task, so what kind of task can you give the mind? So for example, some people say, if you start imagining that as you chant Krishna's name, you're massaging his lotus feet, one toe at a time. So now you're given your mind a task to do as you're chanting. So just try to visualize. Krishna's lying on his bed, you're sitting on the floor, kneeling over and massaging his lotus feet, one toe at a time. And then you slowly go up his leg all the way to the knee, come back, all the toes again, go back, and keep doing it. So that's one thing that will work for a little while. But very soon the mind will start wandering again because it gets bored. Okay, enough. I've done enough service now. So what do? You do some kind of distraction. So change the volume of your voice as you're chanting. A little bit louder, a little less loud, a little bit louder, a little less loud. Or the voice inflections. Understand the word inflection? Mataji? Amrita Mataji? Do you understand
Yes,
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
change the voice inflection, or the flow. So for example, most people chant Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. And you can shake your head all you want, but mind gets bored.
Yes, Prabhu.
But if you change the way in which you say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So some change in the way it was flowing. But
Sure,
there's something new. Simply you can think of different pastime, whatever. Keep your mind occupied. Don't think that, oh, I have to listen to chanting, I have to listen to chanting. No, you're busy doing something. Now, it won't help you 100%, like my chanting is not 100% accurate, but it will help. From 0, it will get to 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, which is better than 0. So that's one trick. The second trick is that if you really pray to the Lord, to please help me chant attentively before you start your rounds. Third thing you can try is read something, Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya, for a few minutes before you start chanting. So as they say, you get in the mood of chanting, right? And then of course, what I've assumed is that there are no external distractions. You're not outside looking at the trees and the plants and the people and the cars and etc. You're in the house. You're either sitting in one place, TV is not on, there's no newspaper, your cell phone is not constantly going, hey, I'm WhatsApp, read me. I'm WhatsApp, read me. It's not doing that. Okay, so the external distractions, they're very easy. Don't be thinking about your dal boiling on the stove. Don't be thinking about the newspaper headline. All those kind of, the externals are very easy to take care of. It's the internals I'm worried about. And that can be only controlled if we give our mind a task to do at all the times. So that's basically what I can say, Manu. Okay. I'm sure there are other things people can do or people do, but right now that's what's coming to my mind. Okay. Anything else? Should we stop here or? Okay. Thank you then. Thank you very much, all of you.
Hare
So
Krishna,
again,
We are
Pitashri.
becoming greedy, Prabhuji, week by week. Hare
thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pitashri.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Just
Hare
a
Krishna,
minute.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
I
Thank
have
you so
very,
much.
very quick question, Pitashri.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, in Hindi, it is Krishna, right? Krishna name is in Hindi is Krishna,
No.
but in English is Krishna.
So
Then
what?
which one is correct?
So what you said was Punjabi.
I don't know Punjabi.
Krishna is Hindi or Sanskrit.
Yes, just so many in Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Great.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. But in English, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Correct. So the
Yes.
name of the Lord is so powerful. It doesn't matter how you say it. The effect is the same. So actually, I can give an example of Lord Ram's name. What's the Hindi word for room? Anybody knows? The Hindi word for room.
Kamra.
Kamara. I
Kamara.
was saying the same actually. Rama. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I was actually about to say the same thing, that it's Ram, but in English we say Rama.
Yes. So Kamara means room. But Kamara, if you say the backwards, it's Ramka. Correct?
Yeah.
And therefore you get the same benefit. Let me give you an example of Valmiki. Who's Valmiki? Anybody?
Lord Ramayan.
The author of Ramayana. And you know when he wrote Ramayana? Before the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra happened.
Yes.
And you know who he was before it all happened? He was a robber. So sinful that when Narad Muni met him, he told him to chant the name of Ram. And he said, I can't say Ram. It doesn't come to my tongue. I'm so sinful. And Narad Muni said, okay, but you're used to killing people. The Hindi word for the dead person is Mara.
Mara.
Under a tree and just chant Mara, 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 Mara. So just try to repeat to yourself 5 times.
It will come
Ram,
Ram.
Ram, Ram. And that's what made him a realized soul, so much so that he wrote entire Ramayana before it happened, before the pastimes happened. So my point is the name of the Lord is very powerful and it doesn't care about the pronunciation. In North America and Europe, people find it very difficult to say a word that does not end with ah, the sound of ah. So Krishna becomes Krishna. Actually, when you think about it, Krishna is the name of Draupadi. Krishna is Lord Krishna, Krishna is Draupadi. But in North America, Krishna means Krishna. It's the same effect. North Americans don't have to worry about, oh my God, I've been making a mistake. No, it's not a mistake. Go on saying Krishna. Krishna knows what you mean. And the effect is the same. The holy name knows what you mean. The effect is the same. So whether you say Krishna, or Krishna, or Krishan, or Kishan, or Kishanji, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Same potency, same result. Okay?
Thank you so much, Pitashri. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, anything else? Okay, then this time, Hare Krishna. Actually, I'm sorry, I just have to say something to you. Before the COVID days, we used to have every week Bhakti Vriksha programs. And we'll get about 40, 50 people in our basement, and we'll do the program. And then it came time for prasadam. Everybody will have prasadam. Then they start to leave. Except they didn't leave. They'll stand by the stairs in the basement, at the bottom of the stairs, and chit-chat for half an hour. Then they'll come up and stand on the top of the stairs of the basement. So main floor. They'll chit-chat for half an hour there. Then they'll go to the main door, the front door. They stand there and chit-chat for half an hour. And then the summertime, they will go to the driveway, chit-chat for half an hour before they actually went. So literally an hour, hour and a half after the program ended, they would leave to home. So we are doing today the same thing. You know, as we get ready to leave, I have a small question. Oh, I have a small question. It's perfectly all right, by the way. It's a lot of fun. It's a real pleasure. So don't stop doing it, but I just wanted to share the story. Okay. All right. This time final? Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So much,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Sonu? Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.